Hi, thank you for joining me. Today I'd like to show you an expressed grid that I tend to use. I call it an expressed grid is because I'm using more than one type of stone as a base or a major point on the grid. So normally I use these really large selenite stones. I only have 5 of them. So I tend to use those in a grid by itself. But today I want to use 6 crystals, and so I'm going to use the really large crystal set out, and I'm going to use one really large quartz crystal. And I'm using that crystal because, as you can see, it is very large. It is a large crystal. Closing that. As you can see, this is my hand. The crystal is huge. So are these selenite crystals. They're very large. So I really didn't place it, since it's 6 crystals. A lot of people tend to use the 6-pointed star of David. However, I'm not using that. I want it to look like a person because a person is going to lay in the grid. These tend to be a little bit further back, but because I have that crystal there, I'm just setting it to the outside. Now, these crystals are set opposite each other. Let me keep this orientation right. These 2 crystals are set opposite each other, as are these 2 crystals. And then the one for the head and the one for the feet are set opposite each other as well. Those are placed there. And then on top of that, this is one for overall healing and health. So here you see I've placed a crystal on top. What will happen is the selenite will join with that crystal, as does quartz crystals, to magnify the properties of that crystal. Now here is another crystal. This one is used for sight. Now this crystal is used to help kunzite. I keep mixing kunzite and the other one up. This one is to help align the chakras, and this one is for sight. So I have the one for sight, for chakra. I have another one for sight and overall health. And this is a grounding crystal. I have 2 crystals that can be used for grounding. This can also be used to help with the alignment of the chakras. And this one is an overall stone. It's a bloodstone, and it's used for overall health of the body. And as you know, as it says, bloodstone. So those I use there. And then I tend to use selenite within the grid. And then these 2 are also stones for sight, and they will be placed upon the eyelids, the closed eyelids of the person. Now, what I will show you is how I join these together. Because it's 2 stones on top, I will use 2 or 3 rotations around the stone. So let me come on this side because I'm holding the camera with my dominant hand right now. And I don't want to mess everything up, but I want to be able to let you see what I'm doing. So with my dominant hand, and of course my index finger, I'm going to circle this crystal once, twice, 3 times. In that 3rd rotation, I come to this crystal. 1, 2. You only need to do it twice really, but hopefully I did that 3 times. And do it with authority. And then I go to the next one. So all I'm doing really is creating loops around it, the crystal, and then I go back to the next crystal and I'm creating a loop. Then I come back to this main crystal and create that loop. Now, there's some inside. So once I do that, I go around this one. I come back to this main crystal. I go around this other crystal. I come back to the main crystal. And the ones that will go in the hand, I come and go around that, back to the main crystal. And then I go around here and back to the main crystal. And that is done. However, before I tag off or end the energy, I will take the energy and place it on the person. So I'm going to go into this grid. So I would loop it around the person like this and then tie it off. And it's just a tying off because I'm saying it's ending. So I would loop it around the person and tie it off. Have the person lay in the grid. You can have them lay into the grid and then do the looping, or you can do the looping and then have them lay into the grid. So that is how I do that. And what's happening is these larger crystals will emphasize these smaller ones. The smaller ones work just like they are, and they work fine if I wanted to do a grid with just these small ones. But because there are different sizes, I like to use this larger crystal to not only help influence it in a positive way, which means to magnify the properties that are already in there. I also keep in mind what properties that I want to use because each crystal is used for various reasons. They have more than one metaphysical property value. And so in doing the grid, I tell the crystal which of its metaphysical properties I would like to use. And if I'm not too sure and I just want to use all of them, I just tell it to infuse all of the energies. But usually there's a specific purpose for the grid. Like this one is for overall health and healing. And those are the properties that I would like to pull out of that grid, out of the crystal to work with the client at that time. All right. Thank you for joining me. Happy gridding.